You are tuned in to your dose of positivity. I am Marlene Motivates, and as I always say, just know it, just breathe it, and be it, and live your best life.
Be encouraged, be inspired, be yourself, you will survive. Just know it, just breathe it, and be it, and live your best life.
And to gain further support, join my channel membership. Hey, everybody, it's Marlene of Marlene Motivates. I don't know how my volume is this morning. I hope the volume is okay. Please let me know in the comment section how the volume is. Trying to get things right. This is not my normal time, but I had some things that I had to do, so this was the time that I had to select. So, how's everybody doing? I really appreciate those of you who are here for this early dose of positivity. I came on to do this stream because of a conversation that I heard over on African Dreamin, and he was talking about mental health, and he was talking about depression and all of those things. So we're going to get into talking about that today. I was supposed to do this topic on Monday, but everybody knows what has happened to me and my situation. So yeah, all those things. So let me first start off by saying that we suffer a lot of times in silence, and I want everybody to know that that's a choice. Um, you have to make the choice to want to get some help. And I don't always mean that it's therapy. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it gets to that where if you start suffering mentally, and your mental thoughts start becoming very, very hazardous and dangerous, where you want to do some self harm, that's where it's time to step in and definitely get some help. But um, I want to say that I suffered in silence for years growing up. Oh, I'm being so rude. I didn't even greet those anybody who's in the chat. Hey, Boss Life Online, how are you doing? Welcome in. I really appreciate you being here. Sorry about that. I hope you're doing well this morning. I just wanted to be the person to be honest. A lot of times we don't want to be honest because of the judgments from our relative, judgments from friends, coworkers, other people. But we suffer a lot of times from things that we really don't have to suffer alone. and we suffer in silence. Whether you have that um, feelings of worthlessness, anxiety, depression, um, lots of things, or other mental health issues. Maybe that it's a mental illness. Maybe you're suffering in silence and you know that something is not right. Maybe it's bipolar, schizophrenia. It could be any of those things. So, this topic is for everybody. Everybody suffers in some type of way from some sort of issue. And I especially wanted to talk about the mental health issues, especially during this time of the year. Towards the end of the year, the fall, the winter time is when we start, not we, because I can't speak for everybody, but a lot of people miss certain family members because it's the end of the year and you think, I'm going into a new year again without them, and you feel some type of way and you're in your feelings. Hey, Sirius, how are you doing? Welcome in. I really appreciate you being here. I'm going to put the invite link in if anybody wants to pop in and share anything or something that helps them. You're welcome to. So, I definitely wanted to have this conversation and say we suffer in silence a lot of times, and especially those who look like us. Who look like me, those of us minorities, those in urban communities, lots of us, we suffer because it's something like a hush hush. It's almost like you're made fun of. People point fingers at you. And it's nothing wrong with, going through something. It's nothing wrong with being a human being, having feelings and emotions. And I especially speak to my male audience that a lot of times men are taught to keep everything inside, that you can't feel this way. If you share any emotion, you're weak minded, you're a weak spirit, you're a weak soul. And that's not true. Everybody is a human being. Everybody has emotions. Everybody has feelings and things that they go through. And especially, when you experience a trauma, right? Especially if you've experienced some traumatic events, and maybe this may be the time of the year that you are reliving that trauma over and over again. So this is why I wanted to talk about this, suffering in silence, because for a long time I suffered in silence with anxiety, multiple things, going on at the same time. I was suffering with anxiety. I was suffering with depression. I also had a eating disorder. So I had a combination of a lot of things happening to me all at the same time, and I was suffering because I knew for sure if I opened up and said anything to my relative, they weren't going to be open and be supportive of me. They wouldn't. They would have clowned me. They would have, you know, like, oh, yeah, right. Like, oh, please, and we're always told, be strong, get over it. You just need to pray about it. And I don't discount any of those things. I don't discount prayer. I don't discount, therapy. I don't discount, having friends. But there are some times where just prayer is not enough. And yeah, I said it. Prayer is not enough. There are things that are provided for us to be supported. There is medicine. Sometimes you're to the point where you're not mentally stable and you do need those meds. So I'm not giving any medical advice, health advice. Of course, follow the advice from your doctor. But with all that being said, if you have been prescribed some medicine or you feel that you need some help and support mentally, take those meds if it's going to ease your anxiety, ease your coping with your life. whatever it is that you need at the time. Don't let other people tell you how you feel. And it's time that we stop suffering in silence and have these sort of conversations, because a lot of times we suffer with certain things in our life. We suffer and we don't have to suffer alone. You don't have to suffer alone. And going back to that conversation that African Dreamin had, Jay had, and he was talking about it, how you want to say something, but you can't because of how you will be judged, how other people will talk to you, how other people will view you. It's all those things. Hey, Realist One here. How are you doing? Welcome. Happy Wednesday. It's one of those things where you the help that you need, you can't get it because of the repercussions, because of all of those things, how everybody will be looking at you, the judgments. But we do have to think about our own self motivators. We have to think about ourselves and how important we are. And if your mental health is not okay, if you're suffering from mental illness, trauma, like your traumas are being repeated in your head like a scratch record. If you are suffering from depression, anxiety, all of those things, we have to stop thinking that it's something shameful because we're human beings. It's not something shameful because you're going through something mentally, or because you feel some type of way, or maybe something is not balanced within your body. We have to stop ignoring things that are happening to us. We have to stop ignoring that I'm having a real issue right now. I'm feeling more than sadness. And I can say for myself, I suffered for a long time. And I just said, you know, I'm just sad and it will change. It's going to get better, right? Okay. You're saying that to yourself because of your ego. Nobody wants uh, for others to look at them and be like, "Oh, they're crazy," right? Because those are the some of the type of things that um, I went through. I had to say to myself, even if they pass judgments, but I need to be okay for myself. See, that's how much we need to love ourselves. We have to push past who cares what their judgments are of you. Who cares who likes you? Who cares if they don't understand? Who cares if they don't support me? I have to support myself. I have to love myself even when others are not loving me, even when others are not understanding me for what I'm dealing with. And I want you all to know it's nothing wrong with how you're feeling. And I want you to have that sort of uh, courage and strength from within, that is nothing wrong with seeking some help, whatever help that is that you need, whether it be medicine, whether it be seeing a doctor to make sure that your health is okay, to speak to somebody about your mental health, maybe talking to a therapist. Maybe you've been holding in for a long time so many dark things. And I think that that was the issue that I went through when I was holding in so many dark things. My own relatives didn't know that at the time that I had an eating disorder. They didn't know I was suffering from depression. They didn't know that I was getting into the cutting thing, cutting myself to ease and heal all of the pain, everything that I was holding in, because we hold in all of these things because the people that are in front of us, we can't be vulnerable with them because how they're going to judge us, how they're going to look at us and point our fingers and say things like, you need to have more faith, you need to trust God more, right? And just because you have a human experience, just because you feel some type of way, it doesn't make you a person who has less faith. It doesn't make you less of a woman. It doesn't make you less of a man. It just means that you're human and you need some coping tools. Yeah, you need some coping tools. And that's what I needed in my life. I needed some coping tools. And I'll just say it. I'm just going to say it straight. In the Black community, we don't talk about coping tools. We're taught to, be quiet, anything that's going on within you, anything that happens in your family, anything that happens, you keep quiet. You don't tell anybody about it. You don't talk about it because you don't shame your family. You don't say you're not okay. And I want to shout it from the top of my lungs. It's nothing wrong with not being okay. It's okay to not be okay, everybody. And especially, I'm speaking to those who look like me. It's nothing wrong with not being okay. You don't have to put on a false pretense and like, oh yeah, I'm doing perfect when you really aren't. Not that you tell them all your business, but we have to learn to be honest with ourselves. And for me, that was part of the reason why I was suffering with the depression, with the cutting, with the eating disorder, with my anger issues, because I was holding in all the pain, all the trauma, childhood traumas, some SM issue, all of that. And when you hold in your pain for so long, you have to find it's like, because you become full on the inside and you're so full that you can't take any more, that you start getting vices. And those vices could be, drinking, it could be drugs, it could be, and for me it was eating disorder, it was also drinking, um those things. So, but it took me a long time, all the way up until I want to say 22, 22 years old, before I could admit to myself that I needed help. I needed something more. And I can come on my platform and speak with confidence and be transparent, because I want anybody who is listening, maybe those in the audience right here right now, or those in the replay, or somebody who is watching, that somebody will share this, that you're suffering, you're dealing with a trauma, you're dealing with feelings of worthlessness and anxiety and all of these things, or seasonal depression that happens, every time it gets to be this time of the year. And I want you to know that you don't have to suffer alone. And it's not something shameful. Don't be embarrassed because you feel this way. Seek some help. And I say it to all of you, anybody who this applies to, get some help, whatever it is that you need, whatever it is that you need. And you don't have to tell your relatives what you're dealing with. We think a lot of times we have to tell them, or if they ask, we have to tell them. But if you don't feel that your relatives are going to listen to you and support you and be compassionate, don't tell them. Go to the right sources. See a therapist. Check on, your meds if you need meds. Do all of the things that you need to do so that you are well. Okay, do all the things so that you could be well. And for me, my overall wellness had to first start up here. Okay. I see some comments in the comment section. Hey, Tamika, how are you doing? Welcome. Hey, Eunice, welcome in. Thank you guys so much for being here for this important conversation. I was going to do this on a podcast, but I changed my mind at the last minute because I think it's important. This is one where I don't want to like turn off my camera like I'm ashamed of my testimony. I'm not ashamed of who I am. I'm not ashamed of what I have been through. I'm not ashamed of the things that I have done in my life. I'm not afraid of my trauma, because when you are afraid to share your story, that holds power over you. And I have taken my power back. I have my strength. I know my resilience. I am courageous because who I serve. And I'm not ashamed to say that. I'm a human being. I've made mistakes. Things has happened to me, and I'm okay now because I learned to speak up and to say, this happened to me. These things happened to me. These things are happening to me. And I need some support. I need some compassion. I need to be able to vent some things that happened to me. And I want you all to understand that too. We don't have to keep in everything that we have been through and endured. It's not that you tell everybody that you meet, but you should, if you're having a hard time coping with your life, if you find yourself, crying more than you probably should, if you feel that um, you don't have anybody that you could talk to, the things that you're carrying in your head and your heart, yes, it is time. It is time to talk to a therapist, a counselor, gain some spiritual support, and so that you can be okay. Because at the end of the day, motivators, I feel like that's the most important thing in this life, to not suffer alone. Because we hear it all the time. People will go through so many things in their life, right? They'll go through things, and then one day you just find out that somebody that you know unalived themselves. And ask me how I know, because I've been there. I attempted that on 3 or 4 occasions. The memory is kind of foggy, but I know it was more than 3 times I tried to unalive myself. And it was because I was afraid to speak up and say, I've been hurt. I've been traumatized. This person did this to me and it was wrong. I was victimized. I was hurt. I was abused. And now I can have my power back because I don't have to hold that inside. I can say that happened to me, and I walked through that storm. I talked about what happened to me, and I owned the things that I did. I owned the things that I allowed, and then I learned to heal and forgive the things that I had no control over. Right? I had to heal. And I feel like somebody needs to hear this message. So I'm going to say it again. I had to heal the things that I couldn't control. There are some times that the things that happened to you growing up in your childhood that you had no control over, that you can't control how people talk to you, how people treat you, how people treat themselves, the vices that they have, and some people, that are disturbed, emotionally, mentally. Some people have a soul sickness. I learned that from my sister Shay Love. Um, they have issues that's way more than just in the spirit. They need to get into, why am I, have this evil inside of me? Is it because I have a mental health issue? Is it a mental illness? Is it a generational family problem? We have to speak about those things and stop suffering in silence, and covering up things with a band-aid, and with um a stigma of, oh no, I don't want to be labeled as someone who has mental health issues. I don't want to be labeled as somebody with depression. I don't want to be labeled as somebody who does things, because we don't get that, right? Those things happen to other people, but that doesn't happen in our family. Nothing like that happens. And that's not true. Almost everybody is affected by at least some sort of mental health, whether it be anxiety or depression. So don't think that you have to suffer with those things alone. I think people go through this depression, and the people that are around us, when you've never had depression, you you really can't understand. It's not just a sadness that you feel sad and then you can just overcome it. there are some different types of depression as well that I learned when I started to seek some help. There's more than just one kind of depression. There is the seasonal depression that we get during this time of the year, where because of the weather, being cloudy and dark, or you're isolated and you feel lonely, or is it because you have people in your relatives that are not around, or they're not close to you, or you're rehashing like a scratch record, like I said earlier, some traumatic event that happened to you at the same time last year or years ago. So it's all of those things that we definitely have to get to the root of it. Why is it that I feel the way that I feel? Is it because of a trauma? Is it because I'm overwhelmed because of stress? Is it because I'm just not allowing myself to believe that I actually need some help and something is actually wrong with me? That was another thing that I had to overcome as well, admitting to myself that something was not right. Not now. I'm speaking on, um, let's see, this was when I was from the age of 14 until the age of, I would say about 19, 14 to 19, that I had these issues. But it wasn't until I was 22 before I could actually open up my mouth and say, this, and this happened. I suffered all that time because of the lack of support, because of the judgments, because of all of those things. And we have to stop letting ourselves suffer in silence, feeling ashamed, um, feeling down on ourselves, talking bad about ourselves, talking bad about others, relatives, those who have mental illness, do seek some help, do talk to somebody, because we know how we're feeling, even if the people that we care about, even if the people that you love don't understand it, it's not for them to understand, it's for you to be well. And I feel so much strength and power now that I have allowed myself to speak up and say, this is me. This is Marlene. I've had traumas. I've been abused. I've been physically assaulted. I've been, I've had a SM issue. And when you can speak out of your mouth and say out of your mouth, this happened to me. Now I have my power back because I'm not ashamed of it anymore. See, when you can't speak out of your mouth and say, this, and this happened to me, I'm not hiding it. I'm not putting it in a closet. I'm not having a vice that I need to cover up because of shame, because I don't know how to talk about it. So those are some of the things that we do, especially in urban communities. We hide these things, right? We hide how we're feeling. We hide the things that we're going through because we weren't taught to communicate about these things, to share. I'm having anxiety. I'm having panic attacks. I'm having depression. I'm having feelings of worthlessness, and this is more than just sadness. This is something that has stuck with me for a while, and that's something that I had to do, to talk about when I actually did see a therapist. That is if it's just you're sad for one day, okay, but if you find yourself, it's day after day, week after week, month after month, that's not sadness, everybody. It's not sadness. You may have depression and you need to talk to somebody. So you don't have to tell anybody. You can keep that to yourself, but then go and seek some assistance, because that's what I did for myself. I went and talked to a therapist. And then when I talked to the therapist, then I had to talk to a medical doctor about getting some help for my depression. And once I started to work on my issues that I was having, the traumas that I had in my awful my awful childhood, I can say that, and I'm not ashamed of it. My awful childhood, um, I can take my power back. And I found that my depression went away for me. I'm not saying for everybody it can happen, but my depression went away when I took my power back and to say, this is what happened to me. And I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not going to hide it. I'm not going to let the ones that victimized me. I'm not going to be a victim anymore. I learned that I'm going to take my power back, and I flipped it around. And I say it to anybody who needs to hear it. You can flip your pain and turn it into your power. And I say that every time I say it to somebody, that you don't have to suffer in silence. It's okay if you've had depression, mental health issues, mental illness, that you have been abused, you have experienced traumas. Don't be ashamed of that. Say, this is me. I'm a human being. I've had a human experience. There's been some things that has not been right that I battle with, but I'm here. I've gone through the storm and I'm still here. And now I can say, and I'm thriving. I'm thriving. And you can thrive too, motivators. You don't have to suffer alone. You stand up for yourself and also be an advocate for somebody else by you doing what you need to do. You're going to be an even better person. I didn't even realize before that because of my depression, because of issues that I've had in the past, I was such an angry person. I had a completely different personality about 8 years ago. A completely like the most angry, bitter, you know, um, person that you could ever meet. The most jealous person, jealous of everybody, right? Hey, Mary B, how are you doing? Welcome. Sarah said, Marlene, you shouldn't be ashamed. You overcame it with the help of a therapist. Yes, I sure did, Sirius. Thank you. Thank you for putting all of those depressions, Sirius. I really appreciate it. And Sarah says, some family members are too judgmental. They wouldn't understand because we hide it so well. They think we have it all together, but in reality, we are suffering in silence. Exactly. And I just wanted to let everybody know, take your power back. Don't let people who are not stable mentally. A lot of times it's the people that we're afraid to tell them, our story, that we're jaded, right? That we have been through things, that we are going through something, that we have gone through some things. Once you start to be the person, maybe you're going to be the first person within your relative to say, hey, I've had trauma. I need some help. I need someone to understand me. I need to talk about things that I have been through. I need to share my testimony. And then you can empower maybe another person who has been suffering with depression, anxiety, traumas, feelings of worthlessness. See, when you become empowered, you empower others. It's like a chain effect. When one person within the chain gets strong, others down the line get strong. And I know by sharing this and talking about the things that I have dealt with in my past. And today I stand, I'm a strong woman, I'm an empowered woman, I'm a passionate woman, I'm a motivated woman because I have taken control over the vices. There's a lot of people who the things that I have endured and the things that I have been through in my life have taken some people out. I tried. I attempted to take myself out because the things that we go through in life is too heavy for us, it's too painful. And we have to always pretend and walk around like we have this plastic smile on. Yeah, everything's great and fantastic when it's not. But now I can smile without, being hypocritical because I have worked on me. I have worked on me, and I'm not ashamed of that. I've worked on me. I put in so much work. I've cried a sea of tears. I've put my all my burdens down. I've taken things off of my shoulder, my head and my heart. I was carrying around things that I'm not even responsible for, but I took it on because other people, my relatives shamed me and said, you did this. It's your fault. So I took on the blame of others and put it inside of me, and it started to affect me mentally. So we do have to get to the bottom and the root cause of why we're suffering. Is it me? Is it because of how I feel? Am I dealing with feelings of worthlessness? Am I dealing with loneliness? Or maybe you have a mental imbalance at the time. And there are times where we just are mentally imbalanced because of whatever issue. Maybe it's a genetic thing or whatever it is, or we're suffering with anxiety because of life and we're dealing with so much stress. We're so stressed out that you may have a breakdown. Okay. And I want to empower everybody who is listening now live and in the replay that you can turn your pain, you can turn your stress, your anxiety, your depression into something to empower yourself and others. Don't hide it under, under like that smile, thinking that, oh, I'm okay, telling everybody you're okay, and you're not okay. I feel like it's so important for me. I can't speak for everybody. For me, it was so important that for the first time in my life, I could speak up and say that I wasn't okay. And there's nothing wrong with it. I was not okay at the time. I was dealing with and battling with too much. And yes, sometimes it bubbles up to the surface. And I can say that now I have the tools, right? Now I have the tools to cope with life. Whereas before, that's why I tried to unalive myself on multiple occasions because I didn't have the tools, because I didn't know what to do. But now I know what to do when I start feeling that way. Okay. And I want to empower you all as well. It's nothing wrong with seeing a therapist, getting a counselor, taking some time off, that if you are feeling some type of way, you're feeling very lonely, you're talking crazy, that I just don't want to be here anymore. That's not normal, everybody. It's not normal to talk that way. It's not normal to feel that you have to cope with things alone. Don't suffer alone. Don't suffer alone. There's thousands, if not, I would even say maybe a million people who suffer with depression and anxiety and feelings of worthlessness and all of this. And they suffer, but then they hide it behind a plastic smile, or they hide it because they don't want to tell their relatives how they're feeling and what they're coping with. But I couldn't hold it because I was full. I was actually drowning in a sea of pain, but I had the key to let myself out of this cage. I felt like I was a caged bird. I felt like my wings were clipped, that I didn't have any freedom, right? I didn't have my freedom. I didn't have my power. I was drowning in pain. I remember back, when I was in my 20s, I remember laying in bed, crying myself to sleep every night, crying, 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 crying. And then, wiping my tears away and putting on a smile in front of people that didn't even care about me. I know I'm speaking to somebody. We cry by ourselves, and the people that we should be able to lean on and be strong with, right? We can't. There are some that, they just don't have that compassion. Maybe they don't know how to deal with it. They don't know how to talk to you. They don't know how to support you because of maybe the things that they have been through. They haven't dealt with their own issues. So I wanted to have this conversation to empower anybody who needs to work on if you've been through some traumas, and I think everybody has, if you've been through some traumas, if you've been through some difficulties, if your mental health is not in a good state right now, if maybe you have some mental illness issues, I want to speak this to, I want to say awareness. Be aware of how you feel. Be aware of the things that you're going through and get some help. And for me, once I finally talked to a therapist, I felt like, oh, I feel like I took all of that burden that I had on my back that I was carrying around for so long since a childhood. I had been carrying around all of this, that all of this being told you're a nobody, you can't do anything right, you're stupid, you're foolish, you're ugly, carrying all of that around. And I actually had took it on and believed it. And that was all of the tears that I was crying. That was all the pain. That was all the hurt. See, what people will do is people will tell you that you're ugly and you're nobody because that's what they thought about themselves. And it wasn't until I got into therapy that I got the empowerment to be strong enough to know that that has nothing to do with me, that I wasn't ugly, that I wasn't stupid, I wasn't foolish, I wasn't nobody. I always have been somebody. I always have been somebody. I've always been a beautiful person. But because they hated themselves and they hated their life, they put it on me because they haven't dealt with their issues. So I got my power back, and I had to learn for the first time in my life that I was loved. That I was loved. That I was important. That the things that I went through, I didn't have to go through alone. And you don't. And the pain that you deal with, and the grief, it's nothing wrong with it. It's nothing wrong with crying those tears. It's nothing wrong with being angry. It's nothing wrong with saying, this is my story. This is my testimony. There's nothing wrong with it. See, before, I would be so ashamed. I had so much shame to say, I've been through this. This happened to me. This is how I feel about myself, right? And it's an awful feeling. It's an awful feeling to feel like you're nobody. It's an awful feeling. It's an awful feeling to not be appreciated. It's awful. But, sometimes you need to feel that way so that you can draw people who actually will appreciate you. If I never had people that didn't appreciate me, I wouldn't know how to appreciate, to get like real love. See, before, I thought toxic people around me didn't love me. I mean, loved me. I thought that toxicity equal love. The way they talked to me, yelled at me, discounted me, made me feel inferior. I thought that was love. See, and I want to empower all of you motivators. Don't feel bad for me because I'm shedding tears. My tears are a healing. My tears are an empowerment. Okay? I am empowered that now I can speak up and I can say out of my mouth, I am somebody. And I'm not ashamed to say that. Whereas before, I was afraid to say I was somebody. I was afraid to say I was beautiful. I was afraid to say I have worth. I was afraid to say that. Okay? I was afraid to say that. And I don't want you to be afraid to say that. I don't want you to say, I am God's child, that God loves me, that even if you have people in your life and they don't love you, never forget that God does. And that's something that I I had dimmed inside of me, because when you have people in your life and they beat you down, they beat you down, they hurt you so badly, in your relative, in romantic relationships, they just beat you down. They take advantage of you. They don't respect you. They don't listen to you. They don't understand you. And it's for a reason. It's for a reason. Those people don't understand you because they don't deserve you. Not everybody that we know loves us. Just because you love them does not mean they love you back. And I had to go through that so that I could be here on my platform and say that to you all. I can say that to you all now because I know my worth. I know my power. And I know what it feels like to just feel like you have to settle. You don't have to settle in romantic relationships. You don't have to settle with your relative. You don't have to be a doormat to them. You don't have to be a doormat in romantic relationships and always sit and wait for them to treat you kindly. You don't have to sit and wait for, oh, maybe one day they'll love me back, or maybe one day they'll ask me how I'm doing, and maybe one day they'll support me. No, you don't have to sit and wait for others and their foolishness. You don't have to sit and wait for people to grow up and be mature. Okay? You don't have to wait. You don't have to wait for other people to mature. Where you are right now in your life, elevate. Elevate. There's a lot of people that we need to leave behind. And that's the message that I got. That's the message that God gave to me. That was in my spirit. And I think for all those years, all those many years from my childhood until the time I was 22, imagine all of that pain, carrying that for all those years, feeling like nobody. And then one day the light bulb or the light switch turned on. And for the first time, I understood that they were the ones who were nobody, and I was the one that was somebody. And I was like, victory. I had to speak victory over my life. See, I had to go through that. I had to go through the storm so that I could be here on my platform and be able to, when somebody says I get lonely, I can say I know that. When somebody says I've had depression, I can say I know that. When somebody says I have anxiety, I can say I know that. When somebody says I've been through a DV situation, I can say I know that. When somebody says a SM, I can say I know that. Okay? When somebody talks about grief, I can say I know that. Okay? And my strength is your strength. When I become empowered, you become empowered. See, we're growing over here, motivators, and we have to do more than just hold it inside, okay? We have to do more than holding it inside. So don't be ashamed of yourself. Don't try to hide yourself away. Don't try to cope with everything on your own. Talk about it. Talk about how you feel, and how you feel matters. You know, how you feel matters. And maybe it may not matter to those certain toxic people in your life, certain romantic relationship, certain friendships, certain relatives, certain workmates. It may not matter to them because they are not the ones that matter, because they are not the ones that you need to keep in your life. Boom. Ask me how I know. Ask me how I know, because I've been there. And it's not that I've been down. I stayed down for years. I stayed down for years. And I talked bad about myself. I speak bad about myself. I didn't get into using my gifts and my talents that has always been inside of me. It's always been inside of me. And I say that to you too. There are things that has always been inside of you, but you have to awaken it. Okay? You got to awaken. You have to be like, hello, are you still in there? That passion for life, that talent. I have to say, hello, wake up, spirit, come back. See, you got to recharge your mindset. You got to encourage your heart. See, a lot of times we go through things and our heart gets broken from the way we get treated, from the things that we have been through, from the traumas, for all the things that we're carrying these heavy loads. And we got to release it and let go. And we got to let go of certain people. Who am I talking to? We have to let go of certain people. And let me tell you, there are so many people that I held on for so long and so many years, letting them take advantage of me, use me, do everything that they wanted. And all those years, my dreams lay dormant. My hopes lay dormant. My pain, what I was dealing with, what I was coping with. I was pouring all my love, my kindness, my consideration into others, but nobody was pouring anything into me. I was at zero. Actually, I was in the negative zone. Negative, I wasn't even at a one. That's how much pain, that's how much suffering I was dealing with and going through. So, anybody who is in that negative space, you have to pour some love into yourself. You got to work on your own friendship, and it's only us. I want to empower anybody who is in the sound of my voice right now. You have to make a decision to empower yourself. You got to do that. You have to want to. You have to want to stop suffering. And that was where it started for me. I was always so mad all the time. I got so sick of being angry at my life when it was me. See, when I learned in therapy, when my therapist told me, but Marlene, you're the problem. Whatever is happening to you, you have to make a choice how you deal with it. Are you going to choose to look at your life and be mad about it? Or are you going to do something about it and find out the reason? Why am I mad? And do something to make me feel good about myself. See, and it's hard to own that. It's hard to own your own mess. It's hard to speak up and say, yeah, I did that. Or, yes, I allowed it and I shouldn't. Okay. But also the people who hurt us, the people, the things, what you believed. You got to own all of that too. And then you have to say, I don't have to choose that anymore. I don't have to select it. I don't have to let people be a doormat. I don't have to say yes to things that is a no for me. I don't have to like people. If I don't like you, I don't like you. That's just it, point blank, period. Because Marlene's not doing that anymore. I used to. Oh yeah, oh yeah, because I'm definitely a person that I can get along with anybody. And I'm telling you that if Marlene can't get along with you, you got a major problem. Major. Because Marlene is a loving person. I'm a loving individual. I'm very kind. But I also know the ones who play mind games, and I don't have time for it. And I'm going to protect my circle. I'm going to protect the people that are around me that are not where I am, the ones that don't have their voice. See, I know that in my struggle and my pain, the time where I was crawling through life before I knew how to stand up and walk, and before I am now where I'm running through my life, actually galloping to my finish line, I can be the voice of the voiceless. Okay? I can be the voice of the voiceless. So I take that very seriously. I don't play games over here on this channel. I don't do, tit for tat because a person doesn't like me, a person doesn't understand me, a person may take my ideas. I don't have time to say that out of my mouth. I don't have time to say, even though I see things, I see what other people do. And I hear the things that people say behind my back. It doesn't mean that I don't know and I'm stupid. It's just that I'm so busy being focused and using my gifts and my talents that has been downloaded on inside of me, because I've wasted so many years. I've wasted so much time. I don't have time to focus on what another person feels and believes about me. I don't have the time. I have so many years to make up for all the times where I wasn't smiling and laughing and joyful and having the best, amazing life. The times where I wasn't allowing myself to win, the times where I wasn't allowing myself to just say, Marlene, you're amazing. Enjoy your life, have some fun, laugh, do all of those things. But instead, I chose to suffer. I chose to suffer because a lot of times we suffer because we don't know our worth. We suffer because we don't know our power. We don't know that it's possible. We don't know that it's okay to lay your burdens down, that you don't have to carry all of the burdens of yourself or the burdens that other people have given and put on your back and want you to take care of their issues and problems. No, you got to give people back their own problems. You got to speak out of your mouth. That's not my issue. That's your problem. That's your burden. And you're going to take it back. I'm not taking your problems. Give people back their problems. That's not your issue. See, we got to be fully grown and fully mature and stop worrying about hurting people's feelings. Because I stayed in that feelings mode for about 2 years in therapy. I didn't want to say what I wanted to say to certain people because I was afraid of hurting their feelings. Meanwhile, they're so busy hurting mine. Make it make sense. Because it doesn't. It don't make no sense. You're so busy not saying the things that you need to say to the ones that are hurting you. And meanwhile, you're hurting yourself. That don't make no sense. You gotta stop doing that. Stop allowing people to hurt us and tell people that's a no. No, I'm not going to do it. And no, I'm not going to explain why. Because it's no, because I said no. Take your power back. Set some boundaries. Okay? Set them. Set the boundaries. Okay? And it doesn't matter if they like it and they're saying that you change, they don't want to be around you. It's good. When people leave your life, I learned that that's one of the best things that can ever happen to you in your life. When people ghost you, when people don't want to talk to you anymore, it's good. When people leave your life, it's good. It's good for you. It's good for your mental health. They should have left a long time ago. You should have had the conversation that you wanted to have a long time ago. You should have told them you're lazy, you're conniving, you're a manipulator, you're a user, whatever. If the shoe fits, wear it. Don't be afraid to speak up for yourself, okay? This is your empowerment. This is your life. How much do you love yourself? We say it out of our mouth all the time. I love myself, right? I love myself. I love myself. But are you doing what you need to do? Hmm? That was me. Always talking about, oh, yeah, I love myself, but I'm not loving myself enough to say, no, I'm not going to give you money. No, I don't want to go here or there because I don't like the people that are there. Boom, that part. I'm not going to be phony anymore. All of those things. Don't be afraid to say all the things that you need to say for you so that you can feel good, so that you can be okay mentally. Okay? So that you can be okay mentally. It's not about other people. And that's something that the empowerment that I got in therapy, it's not about pleasing other people, whether it be your children, the person you're in a relationship with, your relative, friends, the workplace. It's about you and you being okay with yourself. And there are times where we're just not okay. All right. We're just not okay. Take your power back, motivators. You may need to just turn your phone off for a while, disconnect from social media, stop spending time around the negative people. And that was another thing, the why I was suffering is the negativity from other people was making me feel negative, was keeping me stagnant. I wasn't getting into my dreams and my hopes and what I was supposed to be doing because I was spending so much time and so much effort pouring into them, and all they were doing is taking from me. Take. And the more that I would give, the more that they would want. The more I would give, and they always more. Can't you give more? Can't you do more? Can't you be more? And then the moment that you stop, right? The moment that I stopped being able to pour into them, then they started talking nasty about me. Oh, you were never nothing, and I never liked you, and this, and your X, Y, and Z. And then they start stabbing you in the back, start telling other people your personal business. Careful. We think a lot of times people actually love and care about us, and they are the ones that are the wolves in sheep's clothing. Come on. Come on, somebody. They are the wolves in sheep's clothing, and it's the people that you are closest to most that are the biggest wolves. Hear me? They are ready to devour you at any opportunity. Everything that you do, everything that you try to do, they may be trying to be you. They want to be you. They want to be like you. Or maybe they don't like you at all. Maybe they hate you actually, but they're just using you to get maybe some information, learn something, or maybe find something about your past so they can use it as something to, oh, look what happened, and post it. Look what happened to them, and make fun of you and laugh at you at your expense. So be careful. Be careful of the things that you say out of your mouth to other people. Be careful what you share on your platforms. Okay? Be careful. Because when you tell certain people certain things, you're going to hear it back. And you're not going to hear it back in a nice way. You're going to hear it with judgments, with everybody. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay? So make sure that the things that you tell others, that it's something that they deserve to know this knowledge, because they have proven to you that they can be trusted. Whew, that one came from my core. They've proven to you that they can be trusted. There's a lot of people that cannot be trusted. There's a lot of people that can't be trusted. You better stop trusting everybody so easily. Tell them your business. Oh, yeah. And you can't wait to tell them. They're steady with a notebook. Oh, yeah, on this date and this and this and this. And they're just waiting for an opportunity. And they're going to post all the receipts of all your business. Shout it from the rooftops. Everything. And you be like, man, I thought that was my friend. I thought that was my loved one, my ace. And you didn't even know they already had that knife, stabbed you in the back. They're ready. They're ready at any given opportunity. You think they're your friend. You think they're your loved one. They don't care about you. They don't give one iota about you. You're the one that thinks. See, the whole thing about it, what I learned when I went into my deep 7 years of therapy, I learned that about myself. Just because I love somebody, it doesn't mean they love me back. I had to pause and think on that for a long time. Okay? I had to pause on that. Am I the one loving them and they don't love me? It's just like, wow, for real? When you realize that you've been used, or you are the friend and they have never been your friend. They have never been understanding. They have never been compassionate. They have never given you what you give them back. Hmm, it's all those things. So I definitely wanted to come on here today and to spread that awareness, to talk about, protecting yourself, protecting your mindset, protect your money, you know. Don't tell people your personal business. Keep some business to yourself. Mind the business that pays you. They that part. So be understanding about yourself. That's something that I had to learn. I had to take a deep dive and pour into myself today. I had to take a deep dive and pour into myself today. And I had to say, Marlene, be fully aware of who you are. Be fully aware of those who draw and take from you and never make deposits. They never deposit into you. All they steady do, subtract it, subtract from your life. And if they're not adding to your life, subtract them. Subtract them. Get them out of here. Okay? And I don't care who they are. I don't care who they are. I don't care how long you've known them. A toxic person is a toxic person. And that was so difficult for me to realize that my relative, my friends, my romantic relationship, just because I loved them, they weren't loving me back like I deserve, like I treat them. Okay. And I had to say, Marlene, you're settling. Marlene, know your worth. Okay. And I say that to you all too. When I become empowered, I empower you as well. Don't settle in any relationship. Don't settle. Okay. If you don't have somebody and they're not loving you, they're not being compassionate, they're not understanding, they wouldn't do the things that you have done. They won't. You have to always be fighting with them for some quality time. No, 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 no. Anybody who cares about you and loves you will be willing to spend any time, at any time, no matter how tired they are. There will be no excuses. They'll do what they need to do because they actually do care about you. Okay? Speak that thing. A person who loves you will not make an excuse why they can't love you, why they can't be compassionate, why they can't value your emotions. They won't make excuses. They're just going to make it happen. I'm going to do whatever it takes to make you happy. See, that's a friend. That's a loved one. Okay. Don't get it twisted. Don't follow behind the words because people will talk a good game. Okay. I'm telling you, the wolf in sheep's clothing. They'll be ready to devour you at any opportunity. The moment that you no longer can support them in what they want, in their needs and their goals and their agendas, then they hate you. Then they don't want nothing to do with you. Then they're ready to see you, whatever, talk about you, all of those things that you were never nothing. You'll see the real them bubble up to the surface. You'll see it and you'll be surprised, like, wow, it's like that. Okay. But you have to set some boundaries, everybody. Set some boundaries, especially with children, especially in your romantic relationship. Make sure you're taking your me time, everybody. Your me time. And I don't mean it's our time. No, I'm talking about my personal adult time for me to do what I want to do. And I'm speaking to my ladies and my gentlemen. Take your personal time to do what you want to by yourself. No phone, no telling them what you're doing. No. Whatever it is you want to do. Read a book, go to the gym, get into your hobby. Period. Do it. See, this is how we pour into ourselves, and that's how we are okay. And I can tell you this because I was not doing anything nice for myself. I had stopped doing anything nice for myself. I had stopped taking care of my body. I wasn't going to a gym. I wasn't focused on my mental health. I wasn't tapped into my spiritual awareness, giving myself the time to connect and be okay. And you have to do it. Everybody, you have to do what you need to do so that you can be okay. And there are times where you need to turn your phone off, maybe uh, call into work that day, say, I can't do it today. I need a mental health day. Today, I'm physically exhausted. Those things, that part, everybody. And also, you have to pay attention and don't pretend when you see things that you don't like, when you see things that you don't like in your romantic relationship, in friendships, with your relative, in the workplace, when you see something, don't like ignore it and think that it's going to get better, because that's the generation that I grew up in. You see something and you close your eyes to it. No, keeping silent on something does not make it better. It doesn't. It doesn't. Things don't become better by ignoring it. Actually, it makes it worse. Makes it worse. Makes it worse. How many times do I have to say that? Makes it worse. It makes it worse to ignore that elephant in the room. It makes it worse to ignore the problem. It makes it worse if you know that you're not okay mentally. It makes it worse. If you know you need to take a break, if you know you need a vacation, if you know that you need to see a therapist, if you know that you need to block certain individuals, if you know people are taking advantage of you, if you know, okay? If you know, do what you need to do to take care of your mental health, emotional health, spiritual health, physical health, financial health, period. And who cares if they're mad? Who cares if they don't like it? It's about your personal boundaries. And we have to learn to stop being silent when we're suffering, when we're dying on the inside, right? Don't don't suffer alone, okay? If you know that you're feeling some type of way, if you know you're upset, if you know you're angry, you know you're going through something and you just need some time to be yourself. I just need to be alone, okay? I just need whatever it is that I need. All right? Let yourself have it. Let yourself be it and be that. All those things, okay? So, we're not going to suffer in silence, everybody. Okay? Let's stop suffering in silence. Let's stop making excuses for other people and their poor behavior, because that was a big thing for a long time for me. I would make excuses for the bad and poor behavior of others. Oh, they're a kid, or they're this, or they've been doing that for a long time, or they're overwhelmed. But what about you? Aren't you overwhelmed? Aren't you having some mental health issues? Aren't you stressed out? Aren't you being financially depleted? What about those things? Remember, those things are important. Hey, actually, Aubrey, how are you doing? Welcome. Hey, Beyond the Blue family. Hey, Miss Tracy. Welcome, everybody. I know that I missed a whole bunch of comments, and I do apologize, but I'm here really getting things off my chest that I have to say. So I appreciate all of you all being here. I really do appreciate that. So I really wanted to have this conversation because I know that when I am when I'm not okay, I can't be okay for you all. I'm not a person to be, I don't know how to be fake. I don't know how to be phony. I can't fake it, right? I can't fake how I'm feeling. If I feel down, if I feel discouraged, I just have to say it. If I'm going through something, I have to say it. Because I know that when I say how I feel, I know that there has to be somebody else who is going through the same thing, right? There's always somebody who is suffering. There's always somebody who is feeling some type of way, right? There's always. So, I wanted to have this conversation to say, even if it's not you, even if it's a friend, okay? And you know that they're going through something. Right now at this time, I have somebody that is going through postpartum depression. That's another depression that I forgot to add to that list. I'm serious. Put in the chat earlier. Okay. There's a lot of there's a lot of women who deal with this, postpartum depression, right? And the things that I've seen is just atrocious. It's terrible. Um, because a lot of women suffer in silence. Of course, it's wonderful. They had that beautiful baby, right? But afterwards, they're just not feeling it. Okay. And it hurts me because I've seen friends, I've seen siblings go through postpartum, and there's no compassion for them. There's no compassion for them. There's no understanding, you know? And it's a real thing. So also I speak to the postpartum too. You don't have to suffer alone. And I think that this was, this conversation talking about suffering in silence. Postpartum is real. Um, and it's not something that, a lot of women want to say after having a beautiful child. They don't want to say that they're feeling this type of way. And it's okay. Anybody who, recently had a child, or if you've been there, you can know it. Okay. You can know it when you know. And sometimes it's not that they want to be this way to you, but they're just that way because they're not in your shoes. They don't know how you feel. All right. Mm-hmm. They don't know how you feel. They don't know what it feels like to be in your shoes and what you're dealing with. Okay. So, yeah, it's all of those things. So, um, I speak about these things because, working in the medical field, um, I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot of things. I've seen women go through things and not have a supportive person they're in a relationship with, not have a supportive relatives or friends. So, and especially shout out to all of the ladies that are dealing with being the single parent. So, they've had this beautiful child, and they go home with this beautiful child, and they don't have support from the child's father. They're dealing with the pain of delivery, and on top of it, they're dealing with that postpartum depression. So yeah, all those things. So shout out to all the ladies around the world that have had their children, and they're good mothers. Shout out to all of you good moms out there. And not to discount the good fathers, but I just want to speak for a moment about the good moms. All the things that you go through, your body goes through emotionally, mentally, physically, right? To bring this child into the world. And nobody really, people think about, your physical health, like what you endured in the pain, but people don't get into the emotional, the psychological, right? You don't get into that. Like, how are you coping with this change now, being a mom, especially if it's your first time? How are you coping with it? Are you okay? Hmm. And especially, I can't imagine how that feels if you're going through that alone. No, not having the child's father, not having that support system on both sides, or not having support from your relative. I encourage you, all you strong single moms, shout out to you. You can do it. but don't suffer in silence. If you're feeling like you are having that postpartum depression, seek the help. All of those things are there. They do have therapists there. For a while, you go for visits for your checkup for your baby. Also, go for checkups for your mental health. Okay. I have to talk about that. And also, shout out to the single fathers. We really don't think about the single dads out there because let's just say it. Some some people that bring a child into this world are not stable. Okay, they're not stable mentally, or they have not grown up. Okay, they have not grown up, and they just need some time to grow up. So in the meantime, shout out to all those good fathers loving their children, taking care of their children. So I really do appreciate all of the good men out there, the good fathers taking care of their babies, being responsible, being the men that they are. Yeah, shout out to you. And I can't imagine the things that you endure being a single father or being a single mother. But reach out for help. That's one of the things that years ago, it was something that you felt like you had to do alone. You know, it's my child. And also, it's a control mechanism too. You don't really want other people to know that you're suffering. But if you need something, if you need food for you and your children, you need assistance with paying your bills, if you need some mental support, okay? If you need, whatever it is that you need, don't be afraid to say, I need help. See, this is all about talking about suffering silence. It's not just one thing. Suffering in silence covers a lot of things, and this postpartum depression, single parenting, and also single parenting can be maybe the grandmother, or in my case, an auntie, now turning into being a parent for because of either that parent is not emotionally mentally capable, or they're not around anymore, whatever the reason. So those who are stepping up, and you're actually being a single parent, shout out to you. But don't think you have to battle it alone. There is um, support out there, where you can get assistance. And I believe it's called respite care. Use it's out there. Apply for it so that you can be okay mentally. Because I've seen so many single parents, whether you be mother, father, grandmother, auntie, uncle, grandparent, father, whoever. You don't have to raise these babies alone. They have things in place, but you got to check your ego and say, I need some help. I need some help. There's nothing wrong with it, okay? Now let me get into the comment section. Yes, single parents rock, and they surely do. People expect women to be happy because they brought life into the world. Those hormones can really screw you up. Yes, yes, Mary B. So much of postpartum depression is hormonal changes. Definitely real and serious. Yes, thank you so much for putting that name in there. Yeah. Oh, you've been there. Actually, Aubrey, I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm so sorry to hear that. And sometimes you just need somebody that you can, during those times where you're dealing with what you're going through, someone who just listens to you while you vent. Even if what you're saying is not something probably good to say, but you got to have somebody that you can say, I'm feeling this way, because your feelings, your emotions are valid, and you must have people that you can say whatever it is that you want to say. Yes, speak your truth. And you have to. You have to do that. And you have to be yourself, however it is that you are. That's what I wanted to come on here to say today. We suffer in silence a lot of times, and we don't need to. And we don't need to. Yeah, shout out to all the phenomenal moms and dads that are teachers, multitaskers, Wonder Woman besties. Yeah. And we have to wear so many hats, right? We have to wear so many hats, women and men. We have to do and be so many things to so many people. But I wanted to come on here and talk about suffering in silence. But when is someone gonna be an advocate for you? This is what I wanted to talk about today, and encourage the heads, the hearts, and the spirits of all of you motivators. You're pouring into others, doing for others, listening to others, feeding others, taking care of, nurturing. But what about you? How are you all doing? This is your mental health check-in. Are you okay? How are you really doing? I did a topic about that, I believe, last week. And there are sometimes we will say that we're okay to other people that really aren't going to help us, but inside we're not okay. And I want you all to know that you don't have to endure what you're dealing with alone. There are so many agencies out there to support us. And I'm going to link this when this live ends, or put it in the description box. There's a hotline that's 24 hours a day that you can talk about any issues that you're having with mentally, right? You can, whatever it is that you're dealing with, mentally, whatever you're dealing with emotionally, whatever you're dealing with, financially. Sometimes you just need to talk about, I'm so stressed out. My anxiety is sky high. I'm feeling lonely. I'm having dark thoughts. It's so important to share that, even if it's somebody on a telephone, because maybe you don't have anybody around you that you can trust to with your precious thoughts. Okay, and they are precious. I usually don't get into um, or spiritual things on this channel, but I feel led to say this, that, the things that we endure, I don't know the scripture right offhand, but the scripture says that God holds our tears in a skin bottle. So it means that the tears that we cry, the pain that we are enduring, it is important to Him. So don't leave out prayer. Don't leave out whatever it is that you believe in, because I'm not here to advocate and say those things. I respect, whatever it is that is your belief system, but I'm just sharing for those who believe in that. There was that. So, yeah, be an advocate for yourself. All of those things. Yeah, don't hold the pain inside. And from where I grew up, during that time, that's just what we did. We held our pain inside. We didn't talk about anything. It was an embarrassment. And also, we were also told, people would do this to us, right? Don't tell anybody about what you're dealing with. You hold that inside. You keep your business private, right? You're don't you do it. Don't you say the things that is happening in this family. But if you constantly hold everything inside, I'm telling you, it will destroy and eat at you. And I started to develop some health problems because you're holding in all of this toxic, emotional pain, all your feelings of worthlessness, your anxiety, depression, traumas. You can't hold that inside. You got to find ways to release, and whatever it is for you that will help you to release, whether it's your meditation, whether it's your prayer, whether it's your exercise, whether it's a hobby, your therapist, getting a really good friend. But you got to do something as a positive outlet. And that's another essential that I learned in therapy, that you got to have a positive outlet to release. You got to have, so whatever it is to you, I'm not telling anybody what you should do. I'm just here giving the information, the things that has helped me, what helped me to be who I am today. Because I would have been in either a crazy house in a tight jacket, go like this from side to side, or just wouldn't be here. I just wouldn't be here because I tried multiple times to not be here. But my personal belief system, I believe, I believe my higher power thought otherwise. That's my personal belief system. And I want to say to all of you, encourage you, don't suffer alone. Don't suffer by yourself. And this is the last point that I want to talk to all of you. You know, in suffering in silence, talk to someone, whatever that is for you, based on what you're going through, based on what your financial situation is. And don't leave out that a lot of times on our jobs, when you're paying for insurance, they give you 3 visits to a therapist every year. But I can say on mine, they give you 3 therapist visits. So you're paying for it already. And also, if you maybe you're in a position you don't have that insurance, right? To get the therapy that you want. They have those who offer their services for free. But you have to ask for it, you have to search, you have to seek. If you want to be okay, if you want to be all right, if you want to be happy, you have to do what you need to do for you. We have to advocate for ourselves, okay? And how we show we love ourselves, how we show we care about ourselves, speak up. Don't hold it inside because you're going to be angry. You're developing some health problems. You may be a reason why maybe you're having headaches, okay? Maybe the reason why you're crying all the time, why you're frustrated, why all of these things. And it could be because you just need to talk to somebody. You need some coping tools. You need an outlet. You need to start getting out and enjoying your life. You need to start enjoying all the gifts that you have inside of you. Okay. But to be able to use your talents and to be able to use your gifts, you gotta release that and stop carrying everything up here and everything here inside. Okay. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's nothing wrong with being vulnerable. It's nothing wrong with saying, I've had a past. I've done X, Y, and Z. I feel X, Y, and Z. This has happened to me. I've been a victim of X, Y, and Z. Or I'm lonely, or I have anxiety, or I feel depression. Nothing wrong with it. Or I have some mental illness. Let's be honest about those things. Fool other people, but don't fool yourself. You know when you're not all right. You know. Do what you need to do so that you can be okay. So talk to somebody, okay? Somebody you trust. And sometimes for me, that had to be a therapist because the people that I knew were, okay? So that therapist, that may be your thing. uh Also, a combination of things also help too. Joining a support group, that was major. In the things that you go through, my healing, my culpability in my life. That's the reason why you can see Marlene being so consistent and doing so many things, is because I have people that when I'm feeling some type of way, especially I'm feeling lazy, I can say to my mentor, a counselor, a therapist, my support group, I'm feeling this. And then they'll say, what do you need to do so that you can follow through and be your best? So I say that to you all too. What do you need to do so that you can follow through and be your best? Sometimes that laziness is not just because you don't want to do it, but you don't want to do it because maybe you don't want to say that what if I win? What if I'm successful? See, we got to prepare our mind for that too. So Don't suffer in silence. Advocate for yourself. Love on yourself. Talk to someone. Be your best. Be your best up here. Get the mental support that you need. Check your mental health. Am I okay? Am I all right? And if not, I'm going to do what I need to do in order to be okay. Because you deserve to be all right. You know, you're somebody's something. Whoever you are to people in your life, you're somebody's maybe mother, father, uncle, grandparent, aunt, uncle, friend, cousin, workmate, best friend. You're somebody's something. So I want you all to be around so that you can have those precious moments, so that you can love yourself, so that you can focus in on what you need to do, so that you can be all right. You know, that's the message of this whole discussion, for you to not suffer alone. Don't suffer alone. Don't suffer in silence. Get help. Talk to somebody. Love on yourself. Be your own friend and admit it to yourself. I think that that's where the elevation will begin. Admit to yourself, right now, I'm not okay. Right now, I need to talk to somebody. Right now, I need to vent. Right now, I need X, Y, and Z, whatever it is. Right now, I need some sleep. I need some rest. I need a change of scenery. This job is stressing me out too much, or whatever it is, or this kid, or this relative, or this relationship. It is what it is. Don't hide from the truth. Whew. Not everything that we need to do, we like to do. Sometimes it hurts. It hurts really bad to say, this person that I love so much is hurting me so much. And they don't appreciate me. And they don't understand me. And they don't care. But because I love myself, I have to advocate for me. I have to advocate because I love myself, because I need to fill up my cup, because I deserve to have a wonderful life, because I deserve to walk in the manifestation of my light, because I am a bright beam of light. Don't let anybody dim your light. Don't let nobody tell you what you're going through and what you need. Okay? You must know that for yourself. Know your worth, everybody. You are worthy, capable, and deserving of an amazing life. But it means that we got to speak up and speak out. This is me. I have a story. I deserve to have love. I deserve peace of mind. I deserve some compassion, some understanding. Okay? Know your worth, everybody. Know your worth, motivators. And don't suffer in silence. Don't. Don't. Especially don't suffer around those negative people who don't care about you. And you've told them what you need, and they don't respect you, and they don't listen to you, and they don't understand. Block them. Actually, be like me. Move away from them. Move away. Sometimes that's the solution. But whatever you need to do so that you can get your peace and your power back, so that you can feel good, so that a smile can be on your face, so that you can be okay physically, financially, emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. All of those things, do that for you. Okay? And it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to love on yourself. It's okay to be your own best friend, because I am my own best friend. I know how to speak up and say it today. Best friend, you need to slow down. Okay? Say it to yourself. Best friend, you need to slow down. Okay? Best friend, you need to talk to somebody. Best friend, you need to take a day off and get some rest. Speak to yourself. Be honest with yourself, and do not suffer in silence. Now, let me go to the comment section. Okay? Yeah. Yes, I'm not. How you doing, East? Thank you so much, everybody. I really do appreciate all of you guys. Thank you so much for supporting this conversation, and those who watched in the replay. Okay, all of those things. Oh, thank you so much, Mary B. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for the super sticker. So pause, please, while when the super chat hits. Thank you so much, Mary B. Thank you. I really do appreciate it. And shout out to everybody who came through today. Take care of your mental health, everybody. Take care of your physical health, your financial health, your mental health, your emotional health. Take care of you and do not suffer in silence. Know your worth. And like I always say over here on Marlene Motivates, just know it. Just breathe it and be it and live your best life. Keep your head up, everybody, and do not suffer in silence. Know your worth. And I'll see you guys on the Motivated podcast on Sunday that will premiere, or I'll do it live. I'm not sure yet. And then back on a regular schedule on Monday. Have a great weekend, everybody. Keep your head up and don't suffer in silence. Get the help that you need. Bye, guys.
Be encouraged, be inspired, be yourself, you will survive. Just know it, just breathe it and be it, and live your best life.
Forgive me, I love me. I've been blessed that I have made it through. I'm stronger and worthy. I am enough now. What about you? I forgive me, I love me. I've been blessed that I have made it through. I'm stronger and worthy. I am enough now. What about you? Ooh, hey, yeah, yeah, yeah. Whoa.